Good morning, I'm Nikki from Gracie's house and I'm hoping you're going to be joining me for our first live on the Redesign with Prima Euro page. So I'm a content creator and I work with the European part of the Redesign with Prima content creator team. This morning I am going to be working on this piece behind me. So as you already know in the comments, we're using Elegance and Flowers, which is one of the really big transfers from the last release. So this has been out about 3 months now, I think. That's right. Helen's going to be on if she's not already on, so she'll be able to get the right information if I'm giving you the wrong stuff. Good morning, Helen. Hi, Kelly, and hi, Debbie. I think I've just found a splinter in my finger. That's really good. Okay. So this is actually a commission job. One of my school mummy friends is going to be moving. She's from up north and round the corner in the UK, and she's moving back home. And she's deciding what pieces of furniture she's taking with her. I know, Kelly. It's only a little one. I'll be fine, thanks. She's trying to work out what pieces to take with her, and she's been talking to me for so long before even the move had been planned about whether she wanted me to paint this piece. So we've finally gone for it. She'd had it painted previously, and it got scuffed up. They didn't really like the feel of the paint and they wanted to change the colour. So she said to her little girl, who I'm going to guess is around 4, I don't think she's started school yet, I think she might have another year, around 4, she said, what colour? Of course she said pink. So we decided we'd use the pink, and I said that this transfer would look really pretty on this pink ground because it's got those sort of peachy pinks in the florals. So I'm going to get cracking. The reason I've stuck this on already, so you can see where I'm going with it, we're going to have a sort of swath of the pattern there and then some down here. I'm personally, if I'm going to go corners, I always go the top corner to the bottom corner over here, and I think it's something to do with the way we read. I think because we start top left and read that way to the bottom, I think that's something to do with how our eyes and brains work, I think. So, and I've also taken photos to send to Chloe to make sure she's happy with my layout. So this is what I do if I'm really planning a piece. Sometimes I go a little bit more haphazard, but this one, it had to be planned because it's a commission job. So I'm just going to get cracking. I have got both the tools on to hand. So I've got the transfer tool, and I've also got the one that comes in the tube. Hi Nicola, thank you for coming to watch. So all I've used is a little bit of frog tape. The painted surface has had a good, I'd say, not quite 48 hours to dry, but close to. So I know that it's a nice smooth finish. I know that it's had a good sort of couple of days cure time. I'm just going to take the bottom piece off. Wouldn't that have been embarrassing if it lifted the paint up then? It's all right, I knew it wouldn't. And we decided just to finish it, rather than finish it flat or kind of keep it within I wanted to wrap it around the front, so just so that you've got a little hint of it if you see the piece from the side. So that's why we've made that decision there as well. So this is quite a big piece. I have cut this transfer up, as you can see. This is probably the biggest piece I'm going to be working with, so we'll get this piece on first. So I have trimmed around all of the edges carefully so that there's nothing else, because obviously there was other stuff here. So I've had to trim around carefully. I actually need a smaller pair of scissors. I found it quite tricky. I've got like giant kitchen-sized scissors and they're no good. They don't help. So I'm going to work on the front piece first, obviously, so that you can see it. I'm not going to worry about wrapping that round yet because it will wrap naturally. And what I didn't want to do also is I didn't want to go too far over on the front of that drawer. And you can see the grid lines on here. Can you see them still? So they will stay on this top sheet. So once the transfer is released, they help you as guidance, but they're not part of the transfer. But they do help you if you're trying to line something up with your lines. So I'm going to pop it there. So I'm just curling around the edge of that drawer And I'm just going to do the same over there. I'm going to be cutting that piece. I just thought I need to grab my craft knife. And it's one thing, for some reason, I always forget. I'll find it in a second. So I'm just smoothing down with my hand. You can hear if there's any air bubbles sometimes. It's seeming good. To be fair, this is quite a modern piece, so it's got a nice, flat, smooth finish. And the paint that I've used has a nice, flat, smooth finish. The paint itself, this particular one has got a built-in top coat. Although I will be top coating because of the transfer. But it has got a lovely finish to it. So I'm just using this transfer tool first. But can you just, when I took a picture of it and sent it to Chloe, it's really difficult for people to get an idea because it looks, with that white backing paper on, it looks so full on, and it's obviously so much more subtle once you take that paper off. So originally we did have more of the transfer, and I just reduced it down a bit. The first one we felt was a bit overpowering, but actually I think this is going to look really beautiful. I'm loving it on this pink background. If you've got any questions, you're more than welcome to drop any questions in. If I don't catch any, Helen's here to help as well, so Helen can answer for you as well. And this has ended quite nicely here on this ridge, but it means I've kind of not got to worry too much about all the lumps and the bumps here. They'll be on the next piece. I've got to be very careful when I get to these edges because I've cut right up to the edge of the transfer where I've trimmed a piece off. I have to be a bit more careful, but it's okay, it's fine. I am going to have to grab my craft knife though. And I'm trying desperately to remember where I've laid it down. I am terrible for that. I just put it down places. There it is. Oh, look at that. Oh, it's right to hand after all. Nicola, is it best to do a top coat over the transfer? Absolutely, yes. The only cases where you don't need to, really, is glass or mirrors. So if you're doing like, if you see over in America, they quite often get those vintage like farmhousey type windows. We put a transfer on. Obviously, you can't top coat because it's going to make anything's going to affect the glass. Hi Jennifer, and the same with mirrors. And you just give them a really light clean with a soft, like a soft cloth, dusting, for example. So I've just got just any craft knife, and I'm going to cut round the drawer. And I'm literally just using the drawer as a guide to keep that line straight. And there we go, that's gone all the way through there. Just in that corner. Another tip here, obviously because I'm doing this live, I'm doing it vertically so it's easy for you to see what I'm doing. But if you're struggling and you don't have tape, or if you lay your piece on its back so that you're not fighting against gravity as well. Jennifer, don't worry, it doesn't matter. So if you lay your piece on its back and then you can work on it on a horizontal surface, you might find that easier. That's certainly how I started doing with transfers. Okay, so I'm just cutting around the drawer, as I've just said. There we go. And just a little bit there. I think I need a new blade on my knife actually. There we go. So when I take that drawer out now, I can just fold those edges round. I'm just going to do that cupboard door as well actually while I'm here. There we go. Sorry if my head's in the way then. There we go. Try and do it with the other hand, I'm not left-handed. There we go. going to get, just because this is a bit thinner than the transfer stick, so I'll be able to get that in there better, I think. There we go, that's better. And this is when the transfer tool for me comes in more useful. So when you have got to get to these ridges, so I have got a little bit of a ridge there, I use that with a nice pressure just to push that into the crease, and it gives you a really clean finish, and it gets it all into the crease. And it's just where, like I said, just where it's a little bit thinner. I think it makes it an easier job to do. So I'm going to be able to lift this small piece off for the cupboard door. Just get the edges. And I always just go over with like my thumb normally. What colour have I used? This is Conch from the Dixie Belle Silk range. So very similar to Tea Rose if you've used Tea Rose. But yeah, I do tend to kind of come behind with my thumb just to smooth that out as I go along. See, there's a little bit that I haven't quite caught there. I did a live yesterday, and you must just when you pull that top paper off, just do it slowly, because if you've missed a bit, you can catch it. But if you pull it back too quick and you miss too much, and it pulls it with it, but then sticks to itself or folds in on itself, you're going to get really angry. Just have a little bit of patience. And it's really easy to miss a bit. Whatever tool you're using, it's really easy to just miss a tiny piece. And you don't want to do that. And the other thing is, this has got the corners, the shaped corners, so you can also fit into here like this, and it gives you that edge. Actually, that one's working really well like that. I'm just going to try and do that without getting my head in the way, so that you can keep watching. And the other thing that I've found helps, do you sell this image transfer paper? If you look in the, up in the description of the post, there's a link there that you can buy from. So, as you've seen, most of this I've been pulling the paper that way. I made a couple of mistakes early on where I pulled it all that way, and then the last piece just folded back on itself because it was still ever so slightly attached to the paper. So I do recommend, if you can try and lift from, once you've got to this end, then try and lift from that end. I think that helps, and it can't fold in on itself then. A little air bubble there, but I think we've pushed it out. So there we go, so that's the first little piece on there. Lovely. I'm just hoping I'm not, am I enough, showing you guys enough? Am I close enough? I'm just thinking if I bring you a little bit closer. Let's do that. There we go. Is that a bit better? You see a bit better now. So I'm going to go for the drawer now. So I'm going to go back to my tool and use that corner to get in to the crease there. And that's worked really well there. Oops. And go around the edge that way as well. So, you know, you're going to lose a little bit here on the leg and some of the stems. You're going to lose a bit where it wraps. There's a gap that, you know, you've just got to, you've got to decide if that's what you want. Some people prefer to just keep their pattern here. I quite like it when it's kind of draping over the whole piece. But again, that's just personal choices. There we go. Oh, can't get that lifted. Oh, I keep losing it. There we go. That one's not curved round, so just do that. So for when you're doing these, I would recommend a tool like this. I think when you're doing just flat pieces, but if you've got any kind of detail, the tool really kind of comes into its own, and it's a relatively small investment. I think it's well worth it. And as you can see, I'm kind of switching between the two anyway, so I still do like to use the stick now and then. You do have to be, you have to be careful when there's these thin pieces. When you've got a bigger piece, it's almost easier to just pull that top paper off. When you've got the thin pieces, you've kind of got more to be checking on as you go along. Like that. You see that flower's not released yet? It's just that edge. And it's easy to miss a piece. Just smooth it out as you go along. See, I've done, see, a little bit's folded back there because I got too keen, and that's what I mean. I'm lucky. I've got loads of extra little bits, so I will just patch that up. So what I'll do is when I take this off, I've got my tube here with my extras. I'll just trim a bit off, and I can show you how to do a little repair. But to be honest, it's hardly noticeable because of the type of because of the design on this particular transfer. It's actually not that noticeable, but I will pop a little bit over it, and I can show you how to do a little patch-up job, so to speak. And then you can breathe because there's a bit of a gap. That doesn't want to stick down. That really doesn't want to stick down. Hang on. There we go. So you do have to be patient. But imagine painting this by hand. It would take you hours and hours and hours. And to be honest, I haven't got this level of artistic skill. Do I have a go-to top coat? At the moment I use the Dixie Belle flat or satin clear coat. I've also used in the past with great success the Polyvine dead flat or satin finish, the wax finish varnish. Oh, it just feels so lovely and smooth. My customer on this one has chosen, if you've seen them, she's chosen new handles and they're little bumblebees. So I'm waiting for those to come. And I think they're going to look really cute. They go nicely because it's got the flowers in. I can feel an air bubble there. I'll go back and deal with that in a second. Hi Patricia, hi Orietta, hope I've got that right. So I'm going to do my normal of peeling it from kind of all directions so that I don't do the foldy in thing, hopefully. Just going to fold it down there. There we go. I can feel an air bubble there somewhere. So when if you ever get an air bubble, try not to kind of press it and squish it around, because where the air is, that's obviously not stuck down yet. So if you do that, you run the risk of tearing it. I just tend to, if you've got like a darker spot on within that, I just pop my craft knife there and then press the air out through the gap. There we go. And then there was another one down here. So just sort of almost do a little slit or a little pinprick hole, and you can rub that air bubble out. There's another one up there. No, that one's got rid of itself. So that's how we do that. This is the little accident we had. So I'm going to bring you right in. Can you see? I don't know if you can see where it folded under. This is not quite a leaf. I'm going to just dig out all my scraps and just find a little, let me have a look at what leaf it is. There we go. Perfect, perfect, perfect. Do you know what? It hardly folded under at all. Now I look at it, it's just a tiny, tiny amount. So you see this here? This little nub of a leaf, that's the piece that folded under. So it really didn't fold under much at all. Scissors, scissors, scissors. Let's just use a craft knife. Okay. So that's all. I'm just gonna add that tiny little piece because that's all that we lost. There we go. That's all it was. But if you're not using the whole transfer, especially on these bigger ones that have got a bit of a repeating pattern, you could even replace a different leaf. It doesn't have to be the same leaf. I was just lucky. There you go, you'd never know. There's just a tiny little bit there that doesn't want to stick down, so we'll get rid of that. There we go. All better. You see? So how pretty is that looking? Super, super cute. And now I'm just trying to remember, I think that bit was a piece I'm not using. So I've got this section here to do, the big bird and then the frame around. To be honest, this is taking a time, so I was thinking I might do the whole piece. I think it's going to take a while, and you know, you get the idea. I don't think you need to see me do all of the sections. I might start the second one just so that you can see how to join them on, and we'll see how we go. Let's see how we get on. So I've just got a little bit of a leaf overlap there to deal with, and then one there. Ouch. one. And when it comes to taking the drawers out, you can then just really make sure that all around the edges you've got in there as much as you know the wrapping, because obviously at the moment I can't get right the way in there. But as soon as you pull the drawer out, you can do that. So we've got that piece. I'm going to peel this piece back. Let's just make sure we're all good on that one. So this is like I said, this is really where this tool comes in, look, to get it around that crease. It really works well. Sorry when I go quiet, it's when I'm concentrating. Whoopsie daisy. And once you have pulled your paper back, just go over and burnish again. Just rub all the edges really, really gently. I've got a microfiber cloth that I sometimes do that with as well. Nothing on it, just a dry cloth, and just go over. I mean, on this background, you can hardly see the halo at all. So for those of you that are new to transfers, the halo is just where they've got, like, there's extra clearness around the edge of all of the print. And it's more noticeable on darker colours, but if you burnish and then you're top coating, it becomes hardly noticeable. I mean, literally, it just disappears. So it's really, really worth, I mean, practically all of it goes with burnishing, to be honest. You can barely see it. So what I might do is just come around this side to do this piece. Move round. I thought I was being really clever. I've set up my other camera to record me, and I think I've probably been in the way of it the whole time. The entire time. Okay, while I'm here, I'm just going to go around the edge. So literally you just wrap it round. But like I said, as you saw, I left that just hanging. I knew it wasn't going to fold round on its own. If you've got a bigger piece, you have to be more careful, but because it was just a small short piece, I knew it would be fine to leave kind of hanging. And again, when you've got the transfer tool, you've got a much bigger space, especially when you've got these big flat pieces. And I do like this side for getting into the creases though. So make sure you've got it all flattened, get into your first crease, do the first crease first, then smooth it over into the next crease. Otherwise you're going to end up with more crinkles than you want. And then do the same again. So I've got kind of 3 creases in this trim. And luckily there's not much there, so there's not too much to mess up. But that did go really well. That's gone really, really nicely into those. I'm very pleased. Okay, let's see if we can just... pulling a little bit of paint up there. Okay, it's no worry. Let's go back to that piece in a minute. That's strange. There we go. So that just pulled a little bit of the paint up, but it is just that one tiny little piece by the looks of it. So I will use some clear coat just to help that stick down. It's just a tiny amount. Yeah, and it is just on that one little piece. Bizarrely. Do you know, it has been quite cold. The paint has taken a while to dry each coat, so it could be that. Which is why I left it longer than normal, but Helen, it's the first time I've seen it on pink as well, actually. When I suggested the transfer to my to my friend Chloe, she came up with the pink, and as soon as she said it, you know, and you're like, oh, I'm really excited because I've not seen it on a pink before, and it is really pretty. I think it really picks out the pinks in the flowers really nicely. So we hope to be coming live more often in this group. So if you've got any crafty friends that you can that you know like this kind of thing as well, if you can share this group around and help us get the European Redesign with Prima community growing, that would be awesome. Do you know what? It's much easier doing it this way because I'm right-handed. I need to bear that in mind when I'm setting up in future. I can hear an air bubble. I think we've got rid of it. I think we managed to get rid of it. Tag your friends. Oh yeah, Helen's just said there's a giveaway post in the group to have a look for. So have a look at that as well. There we go. Oh, that seemed like it took ages. Sorry. I'm just going to tuck that little crease in there as well. And wrapping into the creases as well, I think it helps with the look of the fluidity of the transfer. It's not just, you know, it's not just finishing on an edge. So shall I carry on with the next piece? I think we've probably been on for a while, but if I carry on the next piece and just show you how to do like a join piece. So this is the next piece that I've pre-cut. So we just line it up. I'm going to line it up at the front first because I've got that door to deal with. And I'm just going to have my head in the way while I'm lining up. Ooh. Okay. That looks pretty good to me. There we go. Okay. I'm just going to go around the corner now that I've got that there as well. Okay. There we go. Okay. That piece doesn't want to stick down. There we go. So I'm going to do the same here and cut this into two pieces. So I've got my little door section and I've got that. But that's basically, you just need to be really careful when you line the next piece up. I've cut it in quite a diagonal so that it's not, so it's not like a really solid, obvious line. Lots of shocked faces. Good shock faces, I hope. So just using that craft knife again and using the door as a guide, the crease of the door as a guide. And I'm going to use my transfer tool for the crease. Kelly, do you think it's nice? I think it's going to look absolutely amazing when it's done. And I'm really looking forward to getting the new hardware for it as well. Do you know what one mistake I made when I first started out? Luckily it was recoverable. I was not layering, but I was getting my pieces, I had to join. And for some reason, I didn't do one piece and then stick the next piece down. I stuck the first piece on, left the plastic on and put the next piece on. So actually some of my transfer ended up on the top of the plastic of the other piece. Yeah, don't make that mistake. Move your camera as well. So here we are on that edge again. So I'm pushing it out. I'm gonna get into that first crease, and then I'm gonna push it around that curve and then into the second crease, and then that one quite nearly gets to the third crease. So that's all gone on nicely. I'm gonna do the same here with those flowers. Oh, it's just started raining. I can hear the rain. Oh, it's really started raining. Joy. That means the temperature drops in my workshop. Helen, what do I do if you do want to put the transfer onto an unpainted wood? I did this yesterday. So you just make sure that the wood's clean. If it's waxed, I would remove the wax first because transfers don't really play nicely going onto a waxed surface. Helen, I think that's right, isn't it? So I had drawer sides I was working with yesterday and made sure that they were all nice and clean. They hadn't been previously waxed, and you can just put the transfer straight on. If you want to... because it was drawer sides, it didn't matter too much. If you want to wax or treat afterwards... Can you hear the rain? Sorry. I did a burl walnut top and I clear coated it first, because once it's sanded and clean, the wood's quite light, and then if you stick your transfer on and then top coat, you will see the halo more obviously, because the top coat won't darken the wood where the halo is, if that makes sense. Let me know if that didn't make sense. So if you're doing it for draw sides, it didn't matter to me, and actually the halo wasn't too much. But if you're doing it for a decorative, like a tabletop or something, I would probably do some kind of varnish, clear coat, top coat before, not wax. Because then you'll get the colour of the wood will get to the colour it will be when you top coat over it anyway. And I prefer this end. I say it every time I use it. And I try both. I love these little nooks, but I like this end. Straighten my knee. Oh, I feel old. So again, I've gone quiet because I'm concentrating. Did you notice? That's not 100% flat around there. So we have to just deal with that for a little minute. That's fine. So you do have to be patient. Some come off quicker than others. There is just quite a lot going on. You've got, you know, on one piece, you've got a lot of different flowers and stems and legs, bird legs and things. So there's a lot to kind of work on and keep your eye on across the whole piece. Doesn't want to see, every now and then there's just something that doesn't quite want to release. There we go. I think it would look really pretty as well if you had like a terracotta-y sort of colour, because there's some quite sort of apricot-y tones in the orangey florals. I think that would look really pretty too. There we go. And I like to just go over it and make sure it all feels smooth afterwards. I've got a tiny little air bubble up here. Just want to get rid of. It doesn't want to go anywhere. There we go, done. Okay. I know you're waiting for me to do this piece, aren't you? I know. I'm gonna have to do this piece, and then I'll sign off. So this is interesting because we've got creases going both directions. So what I would tend to do here, and I should have done actually before coming on, is kind of find a way where it doesn't matter if you have to overlap ever so slightly, if that makes sense. So what I'm going to do is just cut through. I'm just trying to think. No, I'm going to do this side first, and then I'm just going to cut here so that it doesn't pull that. So I'm literally just making a tiny cut there so that it's not going to pull that too much. Do you see what I mean? Because you've got to go into these creases and you've got to go into those creases there. So I'm going to do these ones first. Trying to do it without getting in your way. Those bits are done, and I'm going over that curve into the next crease, and then kind of catch that curved edge as well, and then to the next one. Did you see what happens? It pulls this side down. So I know what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna cut here well, and just stagger it basically. Stagger it along so that it doesn't pull too much detail over. Got to get in there for that leaf, and that leaf's done. You've got to kind of do these things in stages, and try not to get too worried or panicked or flustered, because it can make you feel like, really, oh my God, what am I doing? How am I going to get around this? And try and work with small sections. Night, Kelly. Because the smaller your sections are, the less you've got to try and control, which is why I've done these pieces. That's why I've done that piece, and we've taken the top sheet off of those pieces. That's done. We're not worrying about all of that being attached. Try and lift from the bottom. I've not got that leaf. Flower. And again, I'm just being really careful on these where I've cut so close to the transfer itself, where I've had to trim for the bits that I want. Flowers these ones are they some kind of primula, I think. Okay, so we've got that bit released, which kind of takes the pressure off over here. I'm going to switch sides again, get this finished. Hopefully get this finished. I'm just going to have to grab my scissors and try and trim that bit. See what I mean about needing a new set of scissors? Look at these, it's ridiculous. So I'm just going to trim up through these roses because it doesn't matter too much. There will be a little bit of overlapping. I'm going to lose a bit of green from that piece there, I think. hold on. What?
Do you have the manual for the fire?
Yes, it's in that massive box.
What massive box?
In your office.
Oh, I was going to tell him not, he can look for it online.
Right. Sorry guys, the gas man's here and he's servicing the fire. And there was me thinking that Hubs could do it all on his own. Okay, so I've just trimmed that bit off, just so that I'm not going to, I don't want to crease it, I don't want to overlap it. Sorry, I don't want it sticking to each other. And again, it just puts this bit as a more manageable piece. I wouldn't necessarily always say to you, do what I've just done. But I have my piece safely here that I'm going to use in just a second. And the other thing to remember is what you can also do, I've got some extras, you know where I patched up here? If there is anything that's missing, I can just patch it up a little bit. If I need to. There we go. I'm going to stretch those leaves to over there where they're supposed to be. My tool to get the leaves into that crevice there, and that's worked really well. Okay, and now we can do this piece. So we line this one back up. And what I want to do is we want to be working from the top. We're working with the creases. So we get that first crease in. Then we work with the second crease and get that in. And then use the other end to just get that curve, and then get that third crease, which takes us down onto the flat of the door, and then we can go from there and smooth it out. And there we go. That bit doesn't want to stick down. And that bit doesn't want to stick down. Oh, I'm going to have to rub that bit hard. So I'm gonna pop a little extra in there where I had to create that gap. Other end of the tool. Doesn't want to stick. There we go. we go. Whew. So I shall find a bit from my scraps to just fill in here, and that won't take too much. And then I've got the little extra, the final bit of that rose, and then I can move on to this piece. But I think you've probably seen plenty from me today. I thank you all for taking the time to watch. Sorry if we had some slow moments there, but I was kind of covering, you know, we made a little mistake up here, so I did a little patch for you, trying to show you how to deal with creases and curves in your furniture. They do all take time, and if you're doing a completely flat piece of furniture, then it will be a much smoother job for you. But as you progress, you are going to want to start doing things like this. So that's why we show you. I hope you've enjoyed it. I really, really appreciate you taking the time. As I said, we are going to be trying to go live more often in this group as it grows. And just enjoy and show us all the bits that you're going to be creative with. And share to your friends, because we just really want to get this group and build a really lovely community. If you haven't already, pop onto my page, Gracie's House. The detail and the link should be in the comments at the description at the top. Drop me some love over there. That would be fabulous, or fabulinious, as one of my followers says. And if you do want to buy anything, there's also a link there. But check out, there's a link for your local retailer as well. Thanks ever so much, guys. Cheers. Bye.